and welcome back to Overtime. We're going to talk about some rosters now. It was great to talk to Tylacto. He was a very, very chatty man.
I thought you were going to do a poem.
What I say? Welcome back to Overtime.
Yeah, you had like a cadence.
There was something going there. I don't know if it was going to turn into a poem, but
disappointed.
No, it was pretty cool. Let's talk. We always do this in between seasons. Talk about the rosters. Where do we think changes are going to happen? One of the critical things about the way it's set up now is you can only change one player if you want to keep your spot in league play. So we won't see rosters of Flipside Tactics, who didn't have a great season. Maybe they want to make some changes here, right? They're not going to just split up, because they still have their spot in league play. But they might change out one player. Thoughts about Flipside Tactics?
And really, it's kind of mind-blowing just because it's the longest dynasty in Rocket League to date, at least a two-player foundation. The rumor is, goodbye Marky Doodle. We're going to be seeing him replaced with another player. What was the name? Do you know the name of the...
Yukio?
Yukio,
maybe?
Yeah, I believe is the rumor. It's just crazy.
Rumors.
Right. Again, this is all speculation, but it's crazy because Marky and Cucks, so many clutch, just famous series and plays happen between the two of these guys. Sometimes you just grow apart differently as teammates, and you need to, find new homes.
Something that's easy to forget, Marky's been playing this game for 9 years.
Is it 10 now?
I don't know. It's insane.
No, I think it's almost. No, it is 10. It is 10 since.
You played the predecessor for what, 6 or 7 years?
Yeah, something like that.
So I mean, as far as being, it's kind of easy to get burnt out when it's been that long.
One thing you guys actually, because you guys weren't here
he's burnt out?
You guys weren't here when I was interviewing Tylacto. He actually is a SARP vet, but he found the game when Rocket League was out, which was just funny. So he's technically played the sequel there, but yes.
I wouldn't call that a vet,
No, but technically, just not with the time there. Yeah, but both Marky and Cookser at one point were in the conversation for best player in the world. When we were talking about season 1 and season 2, right after they had won, I think it was kind of unofficially we gave it to Cookser, and Marky was in that conversation. Now both these guys struggling to keep their spot in league play. Marky not having the greatest of seasons there. And yeah, we might see that great duo break up.
I don't know, I feel like I haven't really seen a lot of the, urgency from Marky in general. Just his attitude, I think, he's always been cheeky on Twitter, so it's really hard to know how much of that is him really just being like, I'm kind of done with this. But I just don't think we've seen the urgency of him wanting to improve and strive and get those wins. A lot of times he's a lot quieter in matches than we'd ever seen him before, and he was never really a show-off player. So it's actually okay that he's quiet because he was never a flashy guy. Cookser was always.
Yes, he was.
He was the.
I guess in the very beginning,
I think he was flashy at first.
All the vets were flashy.
I hear what you're saying.
To be fair,
is right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he describes himself as the king of the poo goals.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's right.
But I don't know. I think maybe he's just been a bit of a rut. Maybe it's tough for him to really find the motivation to continue to really want to improve week after week. Overall, he still wants to be a top player, and he is. But he's no longer in that running for the top 15, 20 players.
Who's a team for you to watch? Who do you think might be making a change here, Carpet?
I think because they're quiet and only because the players haven't seemed to be super congruent together, but Ghost Gaming is one that I've been kind of thinking of.
Who they replace on Ghost?
It's a team that
I don't know. I think that's the weird part. I don't know who they'd replace, but when I watch them play, I don't particularly see, a group of guys that have really bonded a lot. I just think they play really well together and they're there to perform.
It's the reason I feel like everybody was doubting Ghost so much was they're like, but these 3 players, how do they fit together? It doesn't feel like a roster that fits together. And so even when they had a great performance, making it all the way through league play and making it to LAN and actually winning plenty of series at LAN as well, still maybe not the success that those guys want. I know Lethmir is very hungry to get a win, and I could easily see him trying to make an adjustment on his roster.
Yeah. Or maybe he finds another team.
He's probably one of the most competitive people in the Rocket League community. So to see Lethmir make a change to the team, or even for his own, choices where he's going to go, I would not be surprised at all to see that happen.
Yeah, I think they have had a good enough performance that if they stuck together, it'd be totally fine. They'd still do well.
They had a pretty good performance.
But I can see them thinking hey, maybe one minor change, because overall their play styles were kind of wonky as far as watching them perform together, which is what made them a little bit off meta, because they did just slightly weird things to make themselves fit. Yeah, but it's like jamming the puzzle piece and we're gonna make it work, and it's gonna work. But they got to land, so obviously it worked.
I think really specifically though, playing with Classics, I know that he's kind of like a name that's getting thrown around, and you were telling me that it might be somewhere around. It could be honestly any of these players.
Yeah.
Classics is someone who could be hard to play with. He's just such a fast player and so aggressive.
Sure. Yeah.
It can be a struggle.
Well, and if we're talking about switching out players here, none of the people have made a roster, somebody has to pick up a free agent. And when we're talking about like players who are not currently starting on rosters, Dude with a Nose, a player we interviewed before the last season, had a brilliant performance preseason and then sat as a sub on the NRG roster. Thoughts about where Dude with the Nose could possibly end up because as probably one of the hottest free agents in Rocket League right now?
Really? It could be, honestly, I think anywhere. I think he's good enough to play the RLCS. It would be for a lower quality team, right? But I mean, he does have the quality there. We saw him on Renegades subbing during that offseason, playing insane at GMEC Atlanta. I think he would probably go to an RLRS team, someone like Fabian, who just wants to kind of get one more player and guarantee that RLCS spot.
I mean, we heard him say, in his interview, he thought he would rather be a sub and be associated with a larger team and like allow the opportunities to show up. You think there's any chance NRG with their lower performance?
Huge mistake. I could not.
You think there's any chance they bring him up as a starter?
I don't think so.
I don't think. I mean, who would they replace? I think that NRG might want to make some changes. I'm not saying that's not. But I don't know if they'd replace him with Dude with the Nose. He is an incredible player, but all three of the players on NRG are stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's the lackluster performance a few years running. They've had like one good performance in season 3.
I couldn't see Dude with the Nose replacing any of those. I think he could replace other teams, players, but NRG strong.
I imagine if, because he had that thought process, and I remember when he said this was, I would rather be a sub for a really, really big team. But I think, he was at lane. He was there and getting to see all that happen and see how close that could have been potentially if he was on. And now with RLRS actually being a thing, you can be associated with not a top team, but easily be a top team. One season later, which at this point is only a 6-month turnover, right? You look at teams that are just like, hey, we actually do have it. Lachinio's back, baby. One of those kind of situations.
Lachinio's back.
Speaking of teams that we thought were doing well and then kind of maybe cooled off a little bit, FlyQuest, who started off with a great beginning to the season, not necessarily showing up near the end of league play. And was there maybe a chance that FlyQuest wants to make an adjustment here on their roster?
For me, this is probably the most likely roster change to happen. I just could not see Sad Jr. staying there another season.
Really? Sad Jr.?
He looked so kind of he had an incredible plan. Like a wonderful performance. We gave him player of the day. After that, it was just all downhill.
A lot of it, I think, when you look at these players that have been playing this game for so long, and I think it was a huge curse of players that started off as like the gods of Rocket League.
Sure, yeah.
That's where you saw so much struggle because it was, yeah, I bet you did. You were friends with a lot of those players.
I still am.
Got him good. Sad Jr. was definitely one of the, he was on that original iBuyPower Cosmic roster with Gibbs and Kronovi, definitely one of the old gods of Rocket League, but cooled off a little bit here. Maybe he's the first cut that happens that starts the shuffle, we never see. Won't be as big of a shuffle as previous seasons, but still any changes could happen. So as those changes happen, we'll definitely keep you guys posted. But for now, that'll do it for Roster Watch. When we come back, we're gonna play a game called Build a Car. It's like the bear thing, but with cars. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. We've never done it before. It should be fun here on Overtime.